we're doubling up on the laughs, I think, from now through June 30th. So bear with me because I feel like I can go ahead and take this liberty. So first, did you know you do not need a parachute to go skydiving? You need a parachute if you want to go skydiving twice.
Is that the edgier joke?
I don't know. They're both a little, we'll see. Yeah. I was shocked to find out my toaster isn't waterproof. That's edgier. Shocked. That's the joke. It's a one-liner. Only one line. And I shouldn't have left the space down there. So. All right. Oh, sorry. I got another one-liner. My grief counselor died. She was so good I didn't care. I forgot I put another one on there. How about that? Was that a good one? So we're getting edgier. You like that? All right. I'll keep profanity out of them, but don't forget hotcakes. And that's out of order. We'll go on to our guest speaker. So, our guest speaker today is upon request from some of our club members who came to him and said he should join us at the club. You can go ahead and get things switched if you want. So I have an introduction for Alton Anderson if you don't know him. So he grew up along the banks of Stewart's Creek in Smyrna, Tennessee, across from Sam Davis' home. Exploring the creek banks and the fields of the historic Davis plantation sparked his imagination at an early age. During this time, he discovered several artifacts belonging to the Davis family, some of which are now displayed in the museum. While attending Smyrna High School, he was fortunate enough to study under an exceptional history teacher, William McPeak, an experience that cemented his lifelong passion for history. Anderson has enjoyed an exceptionally long and diverse career in security and various aspects of law enforcement. Throughout his career, he has protected entertainers, celebrities, military leaders, and geopolitical figures. During an extended hiatus, he also owned and operated a vehicle restoration business specializing in classic and antique automobiles. It was during this period that his love of history inspired him to author a forthcoming book focusing on 3 Civil War soldiers from Rutherford County. He later returned to public service, protecting leaders of Rutherford County, and has since become an unofficial docent of the historic Rutherford County Courthouse. I'd like to welcome Alton Anderson. You are a genius, Andy. I appreciate it. There you go. Thanks for doing that.
Well, I want to start by saying I'm not going to be as entertaining, but I will try to be as educational as I can be. Okay. As he said, I've been very privileged with the career that I've had. I do security. I've done it pretty much my entire life. And I now have the privilege not only of protecting our historic courthouse, our present county mayor, as well as our future county mayor, Mr. Allen here. And so I just wanted to share a little bit about our historic courthouse. Very few people know that we even have a museum there. It's not really been advertised very well, but again, my love of history from Mr. McPeak has led me to this. And throwing out a little shout out to Mr. McPeak, who is now passed. One of his traits of being able to teach American history, which if you've ever had an American history class, they talk like this, they never get excited. It's kind of ho-hum, ho-drum, right? Okay, well, Mr. McPeak was very animated. He was very excited about history. But his other talent was he was deadly accurate with a chalk eraser. So if you were not paying attention in class, everybody knew that because you would have to walk down the hallway with chalk on your chest or wherever he was able to, and he was deadly accurate. But being that said, he is one of the people that is responsible for my love of history, as well as my book is dedicated to him, as well as a few other people that were responsible for that. Namely my wonderful wife here that endured 6 years of research, a lot of editing, a lot of, you don't want to put that in there. Wrong spelling, wrong grammar, but she endured, and I think it's going to be a great, wonderful thing for everyone to enjoy. Now, with that being said, we have a lot of great history from Rutherford County. What I have up here right now, this is a map of Tennessee, and this is showing the Native Americans that were in this area. Now, they did not truly live in Middle Tennessee. This was actually a sacred hunting ground for them. They did live over in that, let's got a pointer? Hey, over in the Appalachian Mountains here and along the Mississippi River. But through the center here, there was not a lot of full-time living here, okay? So we have a lot of rich history here. This is one of the exhibits that we have there in the historic courthouse. These are different arrowheads that have been found just right here in the Middle Tennessee area, just showing again that they did extensive hunting in this area. We've got a lot of arrowhead, different styles of points to show the different periods that they lived here, some going back as far as about 8,000 years. Talking about the settlers. So we had a lot of battles with the Native Americans when the settlers first started coming into Tennessee, because again, they felt like we were encroaching on their sacred hunting grounds. Of course, everyone here probably knows that Tennessee became the 16th state in 1796. Okay, we had a lot of settlers moving in, mainly across eastern Tennessee. A lot of people don't realize that North Carolina was actually Tennessee before we were actually carved out of it. Okay, because North Carolina actually went from the Atlantic Ocean all the way over to the Mississippi River. The first county seat for Rutherford County was actually in Jefferson, Old Jefferson. We have Toby Francis does a tour out there periodically, usually at around the first of the year, because the undergrowth is not started springing up out of the ground yet. You have to forgive me on my speaking. I've only done this once before, so I'm going to stumble quite a bit. It was named after a Revolutionary War general. Rutherford is what our county is named after. Okay. The first county seat again was Jefferson, which is located, if you're familiar with Smyrna area, where the Stones River has a fork there from East and West Fork, is where Jefferson was situated. When they decided to build Percy Priest Dam, the Corps of Engineers and TVA had realized they had made a major mistake when they were doing Old Hickory Dam. Okay, they did not realize how far the water would come up. So with that being said, they decided they were going to level a lot more homes, a lot more structures. What they did not take into account was that we have a lot of sinkholes, a lot of caves in Rutherford County during that period of time. So when the water began to rise, instead of it filling up more than what they thought, it went down into our cave systems. So the water level did not reach the heights that they did. Unfortunately, Old Jefferson was demolished, and so it was lost. But if you ever have a chance, please check it out. Toby Francis, he's a great historian. It's a wonderful tour. Now, this is our original courthouse. It was built in 1819. This was on the square. This is the original. It was just a square building, very simple structure, but it was burnt down in 1823. What had happened was they had made this into the state capital. Very few people realize Murfreesboro was actually the state capital for a period of time. So the local stories go is that somebody in Nashville did not like it that we had made it here. And someone from Nashville that you're true, very true, come to Murfreesboro and burnt the building down. Okay, the Murfreesboro folks did not take kindly to that. So over on Vine Street, which was where the First Presbyterian Church was at, they went out, cut trees, hand-hewed the logs to make a second level in their sanctuary so that they had an upper and lower house so we could still have it here during that period until they finally moved it to Nashville. This is a powder horn showing some of the frontier things that we have there in the museum that belong to Mr. Lytle, as well as, I'm not sure if you can hit the wrong button there. These right here are actually molds that they would make bullets from. They were not mass produced, so people carried a piece of slug of lead. They would melt it down. They would put it into these molds here to be able to use in their rifles. Now, unfortunately, you have to know all history, good and bad. Okay, because if you don't truly know every bit of your history. Unfortunately, this right here was part of our past. This is a bill of sale for an enslaved person. Okay, this is shown in our museum, and it's an unfortunate situation, and this is one of the causes of the Civil War. Okay, this is the prelude to war. During the 1850s, we had a large disagreement with the Union states. They didn't like what we were doing down here. We didn't want their control. So this was just kind of the prelude. It just talks about why the Civil War happened and the Battle of Fort Sumter. I'm going to go over this kind of quickly because I have so many things in here, and I get a little long-winded because I really want to delve into it, but unfortunately I can't. Now, this rifle right here, this was a rifle that was made here in Murfreesboro. I never knew that we had an actual armory that was here that was owned by the Ledbetter Company. They were given a $7,500 grant to start an armory here. From 1861 until 1862, they built 480 of these rifles and converted 230 squirrel rifles from flintlock to percussion caps. Now, once the Northern troops moved in, of course, they had to cease operations. This weapon right here was actually owned by the Ledbetter Company. It passed down through history. The gentleman that owned it used to play with it as a child. It was in his grandmother's closet. And they just had no idea of its actual value. This is showing some of the battles that were here in Rutherford County. We had, of course, everyone knows the Battle of Murfreesboro, the Battle of Stones River, the Battle of the Cedars. We actually had some battles over in Milton. And so if you get a chance, please come check it out. There's a lot of wonderful history there, and I will be more than happy to talk to you and expound on any of it and all of it for you. This is a very unique item that we have. This is the amputation kit from General Nathan Bedford Forrest's surgeon. Back then, a lot of people did not realize that they didn't take the time to extract any foreign objects that entered the body. They would usually just take off that extremity. Okay, so again, the battle there was very gruesome at times. Now, this is one of the very first pictures of the courthouse that we now know. This right here is the Confederate soldier that you now see on the northeastern corner. Okay, this is showing it right here. The reason why I wanted to incorporate this. This is a monument to the Confederate soldiers that were never returned home. Okay. Now, we talk about local legends and local stories. This right here was placed on the northeastern corner. The locals say that they put it on the northeastern corner because it was a reminder for the North never to come back to Tennessee, especially Rutherford County. Now, truth of the matter, it was the only spot it would fit on. Because they were actually paving around the courthouse at that time. This right here is very interesting. I'm not sure if you can see it over there. This right here is the 167-year-old sycamore tree that they just recently had to cut down. It was completely hollowed out. It was over 16 foot in diameter. We actually have pictures of 5 grown men sitting down in the side of the tree where it had been hollowed out. But you can only imagine the history that it has seen. Now, this is our crowning jewel. Miss Lisa Nolan probably hears me talk about this quite often. As we have visitors come through, this is our crowning jewel. This is the clock that was in our bell tower from 1860 to 1961 when they changed it out to the electric system. It was basically all but forgotten. We had a couple of local businessmen sitting around drinking coffee like us guys do, reminiscing about the old days, and decided they wanted to restore the clock. They called the county. County says yes, but there's 2 stipulations. First one is, we're not paying for any of it. Imagine that, right? Secondly is that you may want to get over here very quickly because they've already called CNS Salvage to come pick it up. They were going to scrap it, okay? So Mr. Mullins and Mr. Chambers rushed over to the courthouse expecting to run up into the bell tower and find this beautiful work of art just covered in dust and grime. What they found was scattered parts in the bell tower floor. It had been completely disassembled, okay? So they didn't take it apart. So they didn't know how to put it back together. They did not have the instructions for it, which, let's be honest, us men, we don't read instructions till after we couldn't figure out how to get it together, right? So they kind of started doing their research, found out that this clock was actually made in Casanova, New York in 1859. Okay. Further in their research, they found out that it actually had a twin, and it was up there in a local museum. So they contacted the museum. The museum was more than happy to oblige them. They sent them all the dimensions of everything that was there. A lot of these gears, there was only 6 of them left, so they had to recast all those brass gears. Okay, they got it all put back together, and now it is a wonderful addition to our museum. If you have a chance to come look at it, these pictures do not do it justice. This is back in the time when people had a pride in what they were doing. They loved their craft. This man knew that it was going into a bell tower. The only thing that anybody would ever see with these faces, but he still had the pride and the aesthetic value. He could have made it as plain as he wanted to, but he wanted to show it off. And this is a map, the E.G. Beers map from 1878. This is Rutherford. Well, not used to this thing. This is showing all the different districts. The cool thing about this is it shows a few roads, but it mainly shows people's property. That's how they could tell where things were at in Rutherford County. So you would have the Davis family, you would have the Manny property that was in here, and so then you would have to figure out exactly where you were at on the map. This is a very moving picture for me. This picture was made in 1911. These are the men from Rutherford County who had received the call to go to war. They had been drafted. They all decided to show up here in front of the courthouse to make one last picture before they went to the depot to get onto the train to go into Nashville to be dispersed to their different services. Less than 10% of these men ever made it back home. Now, another favorite of mine. This is a great representation of Tennessee. I'll start over here. You can tell I'm not good at this. Okay. Gentleman here, this is Secretary of State Cordell Hull. This lady right here, this is Mrs. Anna Dallas Dudley. She's responsible for the women's suffrage movement here in Tennessee, which started at the Union Hotel in downtown Nashville. She's the lady that is responsible for the 19th Amendment, which gives you ladies the right to vote. Thank goodness, right? This gentleman, we had 3 presidents from the state of Tennessee. This is James K. Polk, which actually had a hotel here in Murfreesboro. We have Andrew Jackson. Everybody knows Andy from the $20 bill. This poor guy right here, he's kind of lost to history. That is Andrew Johnson. He had a very short term right after the assassination of Abraham Lincoln, but he is also responsible for Fort Negley in downtown Nashville. If you ever have a chance, please go check it out. It's got a beautiful view of the downtown area. Now, most of you folks are close to my age. This poor guy, he gets kind of confused with another frontiersman because they wore the same kind of garb, carried the same rifle, and I think it's because the same actor portrayed him in both TV and movie, which would have been Fess Parker, okay? This is Davy Crockett. He was a great statesman here from Tennessee and died a heroic death in the Battle of Alton. Now, this gentleman, I had knew of him, but I never knew what he looked like. This is Sequoia. There's only one Native American language in the United States which has an alphabet. That is the Cherokee Nation. He is responsible for that alphabet. Now, I think it's kind of ironic that we have Sequoia here and Andrew Jackson here, because Andrew is responsible for the Trail of Tears, which took the Native Americans from the Tennessee area, namely the Cherokee Nation, and took them on the Trail of Tears to Oklahoma. Thousands and thousands died. Another guy kind of got lost to history is right here. This was a Revolutionary War hero. He was given a land grant in Tennessee. As I spoke of earlier, North Carolina used to go from the Atlantic Ocean to the Mississippi River. He got lucky and his land ended up in Tennessee. Okay? But very few people know of him other than Dolly Parton is from there. This is John Sevier. He's known in Sevier County, and Sevierville was named after him. Now, we have some great leaders here. We've got some military gentlemen here. But this lady right here, to me, is the most courageous person on the entire portrait. Okay? I get a little choked up when I talk about her. This is Miss Ida B. Wells Barnett. Okay? She was a journalist from 1880 to 1892. She's responsible for putting the lynch. Oh, timed out on me, didn't it? She was responsible for putting the lynchings into the newspaper during that period of time. They were happening all over the country, but it was kept, hush hush. Nobody wanted to discuss it. She was brave enough to put that into the newspaper so everybody understood the atrocities that were going on. Now, her publishing house in Memphis, Tennessee was burned down. Her and her family was threatened with bodily harm and death to the point she finally escaped and went to Chicago. But being a woman during that period of time and a woman of color during that period of our country's history took a lot of courage. My hat's off to her. This gentleman right here is Sergeant Alvin C. York. Our VA hospital here is named after him. It is the very first VA hospital in the United States that treated neuropsychiatric issues from the men coming back from World War I and World War II. They called it shell shock at that time. We now call it PTSD. Great man. Shows you some Tennessee pride and some Tennessee ingenuity, okay? He come from Pall Mall, Tennessee, very poor family. He had to hunt for most of his family's food as a young man. So he was really adept at shooting small moving targets, okay? Which helped him out when he got the call to go to war. He was a sharpshooter, and in one battle, he shot 25 German soldiers, just rapid fire, and was making such a noise and so much of a commotion that the other 132 men in that platoon thought they were outnumbered, and they surrendered to him single-handed. So, good old Tennessee boy right there now. Another irony to this picture is this gentleman right here. This is W.C. Handy. Yeah, you see how happy he looks. He looks like he's having the time of his life. But he's responsible for the blues in Memphis, Tennessee. Now, if you've ever heard the blues, you wouldn't think that it's a happy soul. But he really was. And again, this right here is our state capitol. This is a print that you will find in each and every one of our courthouses. And the original portrait is hanging in our Capitol building. Okay. Now, most old-time Murfreesboro folks and Rutherford Countyans probably remember this case right here. As a child, I remember coming in to the courthouse about, it was junior high, so I was probably 12, 13 years old, on a field trip. The courthouse didn't look like it looks today. It was very dark, very dank. The walls were almost brown. It smelled like body odor and cigars. And that's the reason why the walls were so dark, because they smoked so many cigars in there that it just stained the walls, okay? Then I'll tell you how bad it is. I'm 58 years old, and I remember that from 12 years old. That left a definite mark in the old brain here, right? Now, if you ever went in there, you remember this candy case. This is Mr. Weatherby's candy case. He was a blind gentleman that had a concession stand there in the courthouse where our clock now sits. We thought he was a magician as a child because you could walk up to him, tell him what you wanted. He could reach into the case without looking, of course. He could just reach over into it and grab whatever you asked for, hand it to you. You would hand him your money, and he would take a bill like this, and he could tell you exactly what you handed him and give you correct change. Now, it's remarkable to me because back then, if you folks remember, there was no texture to the bills. They were a paper, cloth paper, and there was no lining in them. There was no metal strips. How he did it to this day, I still do not know. But this was left as a memorial there for him. It's a picture right here talking about him. This is talking about the Nissan plant being built in in Smyrna. I grew up in Smyrna. Didn't like that Nissan was coming in because it really messed up a lot of good hunting area for us. We used to hunt rabbits and squirrels and ride our motorcycles through there. But I'm glad it did because it brought Smyrna back. When I graduated from Smyrna, there's probably about 4,500 people in the town. And now I think they're closing in on about 80,000. Okay. Now, And this is a tribute to the courthouse. This is on our new judicial building. What is so unique about this portrait here that is on the side of the building, this entire portrait is made of people's faces from Rutherford County. Some of the government officials, some of the prominent people in the area. So if you ever get a chance, please go check it out. Walk right up to it. When you get up close to it, you can see the actual individual faces that make up this portrait. Now, this is the book that's going to be coming out. This had been written, did about 6 years of research on it. This is called Southern Vengeance. It is about the life of Sam Davis, DeWitt Smith Job, who were cousins on one side, and Dee Smith, which was the cousin of DeWitt Job on the opposite side. If you're familiar with their story, this is Sam Davis. He was caught down around Pulaski, Tennessee with Union papers. Instead of being just put into a prison, unfortunately for him, he was wearing civilian clothes. If you were in uniform and you were caught with the enemy's papers, you were just thrown into prison for the duration. Because his mother had taken a Union soldier's uniform and dyed it with walnut shells, he was in civilian clothes. So he was questioned by the generals down there for 3 days. They wanted him to tell who the commander of the Coleman Scouts was. The Coleman Scouts was the spy unit for the Confederacy. Okay. For 3 days they tried to get him to do it, and they're like, look, you're a young man. You got your life ahead of you. Just tell us who it is, sign a paper saying you'll never fight against us again. We're going to let you go home to your family. He would not do it. After the fact, they found out that the commander of the Coleman Scouts had been sitting in the jail directly beside Sam the entire time, and he would not give him up. At 21 years of age, he gave his life for his commander. Shows a lot of loyalty and the ethics and the morals that they had during those times. This gentleman right here was DeWitt Smith Job. He was caught similar down around Triune, in a little area called College Grove. But instead of them taking him back to their commanders, the 115th Ohio Regiment decided they were going to torture him to death and get the information. When they come upon him, he ate the papers, so there was no way they could tell what was on the papers. He died a horrendous death. It's described in the book. We just got through 8, and we got some ladies in here. I really don't want to go into the details with that, but it was a very horrendous death. Okay. And this gentleman right here is Dee Smith. When he found out about what happened to Sam, which he was friends with, and what happened to DeWitt, he resigned his commission in the Confederacy and made his way back up here to kill General Rosecrans. He thought that's who was responsible for it. On his way back up here, every time he would come across a Union encampment, he would wait till the dead of night, sneak into the camp, and would kill as many as he possibly could. Okay? Nobody knew who he was, how he was getting into the camps, so he becomes sort of a phantom. He made his way back up into here to Murfreesboro, was doing little guerrilla tactics. Now, I knew that he had been held in our courthouse in the basement. That's where the jail was at. The upper 2 levels were what they used for the hospital. The day that he was supposed to be hung on the sycamore tree that I was talking about earlier, that morning he come in, they were going to hang him at noon. They found him dead in his cell. Again, local legend, or what the local stories were, that the local doctor that had been treating him was a friend of the family, and that they had snuck him some poison in so that they would not have the gratification of killing a Confederate soldier. It's going to be a great book. It covers a lot of history. It covers the battles that they were in. It talks about from the time they were young, love lost, the loyalty they had for one another. I think it'll be a great read if you have the chance to read it. Okay. Now, does anyone have any questions about anything I've covered, or any history questions about Rutherford County? Yes, sir.
There is a plot in the Chamber of Commerce in the visitor center is that from the courthouse or?
They have a what?
It's a clock like the.
Okay.
defense of a
Now,
clock.
from my understanding, the clock that was in the Chamber of Commerce is the one that I just showed you. It originally started in the Discovery Center.
And they moved.
Yes. When Mr. Chambers and Mr. Mullins got the restoration done, They actually had it in the Discovery Center.
Right.
Now, what Mr. Chambers would do, now this man, he's something else. This clock could not fit in this room, okay? 89 years old, when he come to the courthouse to just check on the clock one day, it was not working. I'd only been there about 2 weeks. And he goes, he says, I'm Mr. Chambers. He says, would you mind if I take a look at the clock? I think maybe I can figure out what's wrong with it. I said, of course, Mr. Chambers, this is your clock, you know, of course you can see it. So, I walked over, I unlocked the top lock, I unlocked the bottom lock, I pulled the door open. By the time I got my head up, an 89-year-old man had climbed this thing like a spider monkey and was hanging over the top of it. He loved this clock. To the extent that once they got it done and put it in the Discovery Center, he would take and put a black curtain behind it, okay? They had a little speaker that was put up around the face of the clock. And he would talk to the children as if he was the clock and talking about all the history that as the clock it had seen. I mean, and he's still with us to this day. He still comes over and checks on the clock periodically. But then they moved it to the Chamber of Commerce because once you come check it out, it covers a lot of real estate. So they decided to go ahead and bring it back to its home. Yes, sir.
3 quick questions.
Yes, sir.
When does your book come out?
It will be out fall, early winter. We're trying to decide because all 3 of these gentlemen, either they were killed or died between August and November. So we're thinking it would be fitting for it to come out somewhere around the anniversaries of their death.
The second one is there stories of a ghost in the courthouse that this ghost had shoved someone down some stairs that resulted in that person's death? And the last question, where do you stand on the tunnels in and around the square? True or not?
Okay. So I've heard different stories about the ghost in the building. I have heard that story. I'm not sure about that one. I've not really researched to find out if it was true that someone died from it. But I have been told that there are ghosts in there. One is supposedly a young girl on the upper floors of the courthouse. And of course, D. Smith was actually passed in the basement. And I've also been told that there was a gentleman, a Mr. Brandon, that was the custodian there. I think he was well into his hundreds when he passed. That I was told when I first took the post there, that if I ever walk into the courtroom and the second lamp on the desk for the commissioners is on, that's Mr. Brandon, that's where he always sat and read his newspaper. So I make sure not to go in there early in the mornings, you know, I kind of wait till the sun's up. But no, I have yet to see anything like that. I would love to see something like that.
I will say, there's some folks there, without having a friend that worked on the bottom,
Mhm.
taking out that, the big chandelier.
Yes, yes.
Was moving.
Mhm.
I've not seen it. The only thing that I would work a lot of off hours,
Mhm.
and I was in the courthouse, and there's 2 sides, and I got a call, I'd been there a while, and it was getting late, and I got a call from the other side.
Chairs there in the lobby, and I did one morning see one rocking by itself. It only rocked about 3 times, but that was like, that's kind of unusual.
But you scared
And I was the only one. I'm sorry.
You scared him away.
Oh well, maybe that was okay. I've been told I have a polite intimidation when I'm there.
Lisa, how old was Mr. Brandon when he passed?
103.
Yes, I knew he was well over 100. Yes, and
Yes.
and as for the tunnels, I cannot discuss that just because of the security of the square and the courthouse. But I've been told that you can see the pickaxe marks, and some of them have collapsed.
And I think Mr. Brandon was the only one who laid his safe
Yes.
at courthouse.
Yes, that's my understanding as well.
He was a member of our church, but
Oh, really?
he was just really very faithful and working.
Yes.
Because he didn't retire. Did he ever retire?
I think he did,
Well, like we were discussing, morals and ethics and And our work ethics was totally different than what it is now, and it's unfortunate. Hopefully we can start passing that back down.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I'm sure you probably have hours and hours.
Yes, please come by the courthouse. There's a lot more than when I showed you.
Yeah. And I'll be honest, I've seen that clock multiple times, and I knew it was the clock from before, but didn't realize the history of it. And I guess I assumed when it was replaced, it was taken out and then kept when it was replaced. I did not know that it was dismantled and
Yes,
restored.
it was completely dismantled.
That's amazing.
They found it, yes.
That's incredible. And amazing that they found a sister clock to put it back together. Oh, we're almost there. We're almost there. Sorry to show those again. All right, we're back. Okay. Just a weekly reminder that Hotcakes and Holly is scheduled for December 12th. I did correct the date this week, so our first Hotcakes and Holly committee meeting will be June 2nd, which is the first Tuesday after Roy is back. So make sure to reach out to Andy or I if you have any ideas or thoughts, or be at the meeting to help us out. Yes, ma'am.
Is that a positive date, or is that still tentative?
For the event,
Yes,
it is 90%. Why do you ask?
because I need to put out
Ah,
information.
gotcha. I will, I'm gonna wait for Mallory to get through graduation season, and I'll email her again. She said she was 90%, but it was, she needed to get it confirmed with the event folks who are now tied up with everything related to graduation, so I will confirm it afterwards, but it's 90%. Should be good. Went all out of order, so. Any Family of Rotary announcements or updates today? Do you, yes,
I talked to Larry Kirk
yes,
this morning.
okay,
He was in the hospital for 7 days a few weeks ago. He's getting better now. I think his oncologist is optimistic.
okay,
He had acute cutaneous myeloid leukemia. He's getting some chemotherapy and pivotal support now.
okay. So as of right now, prognosis is good? Good.
It's what?
As of right now, prognosis is positive?
Yeah.
Okay, good, good. Did everybody hear Larry Kirk? So as of right now, everything is on the right track, or as much as it can be, so. Any other Family of Rotary updates? Oop. All right, don't forget, officer installation is June 30th, also known as Kicking Andrew Out of Office Day. So if you're looking forward to it for either of those reasons, make sure to be here on June 30th, and we'll start with our new leadership and see what we can do to move the club forward a little more. Don't forget to contribute to End Polio Buckets on your table. And Legally Blonde is still going for, I gotta work on that resolution, to the 17th, is that right? She's not here, Regina's not here, through the 17th, so make sure to go see that. And next up will be, looks like August will be next to normal, so make sure to support Center for the Arts, go see Legally Blonde.
June hairspray.
What's that? Oh, June is up there. It's not in order, is it? Sorry, June 12th is the next one for Hairspray. Next meeting, of course, is next week on the 19th. Speaker will be Lieutenant Colonel Jack M. Wilson from the Veterans Administration Fisher House Programs. Make sure to be here to hear him speak. As a reminder, we have no meeting on the 26th, which is the Tuesday after Memorial Day. So no meeting on the 26th. And I believe we do have, Ben is working on an out of the venue trip to see Middle Tennessee Electric to make up for, I think it was March when we were supposed to go. So we are aiming to have that in June. We will let you know as soon as we have a date on that. Nothing else for the club. I'm going to go right-handed this time, make sure it works. Have a great day. We'll see you next week.